Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Out and About in the UK. Coming up on today's show, we'll be at the Tara Camogie Sevens competition, which was recently held in Greenford. We'll be also meeting Dublin native Declan Duggan, whose book In the Name of the Sun tells of the loss of his son Kevin. The book also goes on to document Declan's own journey to get justice and indeed change the drink driving laws here in the UK and Ireland. But first, Tir Eolas are a five-piece band whose members come from all over the British Isles. The band was formed by percussionist Tir Eolas. We went along to Camden to speak to them about their sound and indeed their upcoming debut album.
The band started with myself and Laura at the beginning of our first year at the Royal College of Music, and I sent an ad out at the beginning of term of my first year, so that was September 2008, coming up to 7 years ago, looking for musicians who were interested in Celtic music, particularly Irish music, and playing our guests in a more free-spirited way, and interested in busking and playing at sessions and writing music. And we sort of came together and started playing, and I badgered Laura into all sorts of weird and wonderful situations, and still do, really. Yeah.
We're definitely an eclectic folk group, so we draw on our different roots and where we're all from, and our classical and also jazz kind of backgrounds, and draw on those roots to to come up with our eclectic folky sound.
Well, the work that we do out in the community really started whilst we were studying at the Royal College, and we were very lucky to be given a place on the Live Music Now scheme, which was founded about 30 years ago by the violinist Yehudi Menuhin. And this really took the work that we were already doing with different community groups and really brought it across the whole of London. We're really excited about a residency that we have this August in Aldeburgh, where we're going to be working with adults in the community there with dementia, creating work collaboratively, developing that work, and then hopefully at the end of our residency creating a song cycle where we'll be displaying work that we've created of real substance.
We really enjoyed having a residency at Ronnie Scott's upstairs, and that was such fun. It was a really nice opportunity to regularly play at a venue and to see the different types of people that come to visit such a well-renowned venue, and it was a great opportunity for us to try out new things. I have Celtic roots as well. My family are from Dublin originally, and my grandfather moved over to Liverpool.
In June we're playing at the Sam Wanamaker Playhouse, which is part of the Globe Theatre in London, and that's in a series curated by guitarist John Williams. So he's going to be doing a duo with Richard Harvey. They play actually a lot of Celtic music together, and then we're going to be playing a half as well.
So the album came out on the 11th of February, Stories Sung, Truths Told.
It's available on Bandcamp at the moment, either as a digital download or a physical copy sent in the post.
Well, we really enjoyed meeting the hugely talented Tir Eolas. They really have a great sound. I'm sure we're going to be seeing an awful lot more of them in the very near future. On Halloween weekend in 1998, Declan Duggan learned of the death of his son Kevin. Kevin had been a front seat passenger in a car driven by a drunk driver. Declan's book, In the Name of the Sun, tells how Kevin's death inspired him to campaign for the change of drink driving laws here and in Ireland. Declan, tell us about your son Kevin.
My son was a 19-year-old, very handsome young guy, 6 foot tall, was an apprentice engineer working in Luton, full of life and had his whole life ahead of him, and tragically he was taken away at the age of 19, and it was the biggest body blow that us as a family have ever had to go through, and we've had to live with it and ever since. But we, with the tragedy And the negative story, I did lots of things around my son's death, and with the help of the local community and family and friends, it helped us survive.
After Kevin's death, you campaigned for change. Tell us about the introduction of Duggan's Law.
Yeah, well, what happened was my son was killed. I was actually away in holiday in Portugal, so you can imagine getting the phone call in the early hours of the morning and then having to try and get out of a foreign country. That was a nightmare on its own. Getting back into Luton, having to go and visit my son and to identify the body, and then to find out how he was killed, why he was killed, and the whole scenario of what happened. It wasn't until Kevin's funeral, which was a week later, some of his friends actually told me what the story was. The driver of the car was 19 years old. He'd been drinking all day long, and my son was offered a lift, and it was the lift that he took was the biggest mistake of his life. And what transpired after that was the person who killed my son couldn't be tested for all the alcohol that he had that day. But for whatever reason, they tested my son's blood, who was the only person who didn't survive. And my son's blood passed. He hadn't been drinking. But the two people who were involved in the car crash, they weren't, because they were unconscious. And that was the law as it stood. I got on a crusade, and I was lucky enough to have a very good local MP. Margaret Moran was her name. And we fought a 4-year battle where I was able to persuade the British government to change the drink driving laws in the UK. And what that meant was, meant that blood samples from unconscious drivers at the scene of a crash could have blood taken from them and be tested. Because the way the law stood was that if a doctor or a nurse took blood from an unconscious driver without their permission, they were sued for an assault, and the evidence could not be used.
And after the law was passed here in the UK, how did you feel?
I felt like we'd actually tried to do something, because when you lose someone so precious that you can never replace, I had to find something else to do, and getting myself engaged in that fight for justice was a release for me personally. And I was up and down to the Houses of Parliament weekly with my MP, and with her, she opened the doors for some very important people in the British Parliament. I met with Lords, I met with committees, I met with foreign secretaries, I met with Home Secretaries, I met with, and one of the most fascinating people who I met on my journey was Mo Mowlam, who ended up becoming the Secretary of State for Northern Ireland. And we become friends, and it was because of my connection with the MP that I was able to get some really powerful people on board. The Home Secretary was a guy called David Blunkett, who was a blind politician, and we ended up having several meetings. And once they knew and heard my story on a personal level, they realised of the anomaly in the justice system, and we worked for months and months on how we could tie this up. It was a battle, but we persuaded the policy makers and the lawmakers, and they seen sense. And in the 12th of July 2002, Duggan's Law was passed in the Houses of Parliament, and it did give us some relief.
And Declan, to have the law passed in Ireland must have meant an awful lot to you. Tell us about that journey also.
Well, yes. Getting the law changed in Ireland was happened by chance, I think, because I was at a wedding in Ireland in Balbriggan, and one of my cousins was getting married, and we got a phone call from the officers from Leinster House asking me would I meet the opposition leader for Fine Gael at the time, and his name was Enda Kenny, and he asked to meet me down in Dublin, and we went down the next day. And he was very interested to find out how an Irishman living in England and being a publican could get a drink driving law passed in in the United Kingdom. So he was obviously interested in that, and probably interested to find out how someone like me could achieve such a thing. But he was a great listener, and I had about 2 or 3 hours with Enda, and we discussed all the implications of how we did it, and he actually made a vow to me that if he ever did become Prime Minister, he would love to see that law come into place. It was within months of him getting into power that he actually started the ball rolling to get the same law passed in Ireland. It was in October 2014 where Duggan's Law was passed in the Irish Republic, so I'm very, very proud of that.
And if people at home want to get hold of a copy, how can they do that?
I know that you can get them direct from Filament Publishers in London. You can get them at most good bookshops, and it can be purchased on Amazon and Kindle. So they're available on quite a few sites.
Well, it really was great meeting Declan there, and his courage and determination really, really must be commended. The change in the law has and will continue to save lives. We're going to take a break right now, but do come back to us for the second half of the show. You're very welcome back to the show. Well, the Tara Camogie Sevens competition recently took place at Tir Eolas GA grounds in Greenford. We went along to meet the participants and the organisers.
Got 4 junior teams on that pitch over there, and then 5 senior teams here. We've got 2 teams over from Ireland, 1 Portobello from Dublin. This is their 3rd time coming over. We've got St Dominic's from Roscommon, and then we've got 3 London teams. We've got Croydon for the Murphys and ourselves Tara. So that's 5 senior teams, and then junior teams we have got Tara, Croydon, both of junior teams as well, and then Green Isles and Ingerborough from Birmingham. So it's great to have everyone out here today.
It must have took a huge amount of organisation to get everyone here.
It's sort of, once we agreed the date, we always have it like the Saturday after Easter, so we agreed the date with our landlords, which are Tyrconnell Gaels. We train here and we have our matches here. We've been here since like 2000, and they're always good to us. So once we agreed the date, we just sent out the date to all the teams, publicised the date to all Irish teams as well, and whoever's got the money and the time and the girls to come over, travel over. So it's quite, like, there is a fair bit of organising, but we've done it now. This is our 9th tournament, so it's sort of, it gets easier as the years go on, you know, but it's just setting up the pitches and the goalposts and flagging it out. And we've got a good little committee, like a lot of, all our girls on the Tara teams are players and on the committee as well. We don't have really have any extra bodies that help out, but so all the girls, everyone pitch in and everyone does their bit.
So we're here at the Tara Camogie Sevens competition. Camogie here in London, it must mean an awful lot to you.
Yeah, it does. It gives me a base here in London. I came over my own from Cork, and I suppose it gave me a social aspect to meet the girls in a similar situation. Showed me different parts of London, gives me a fitness, and it's great. You get make friends out of it as well.
How long are you over here in London?
I'm here about 15 months. So I came over to do an engineering job here, and the reason that I chose Father Murphy's is because it's in the locality, so it's an easy commute to actually get to trainings and stuff during the week.
From Portobello here to Greenford in North London, you must be delighted to be here. Long journey.
Absolutely, yeah. It's our 3rd time coming over now, and it's a great weekend. We've known from the last 2 times there's always great crack, and some of our ex-Portobello players are playing over here in Tara, so it's great to travel over and get the tournament in for the weekend, you know.
Do you go on tour at all, or is this the only competition that you participate overseas?
We've been away a couple of times. A few of us have been to the Shinty in Scotland as well. I think they went to a competition in Barcelona a couple of years back as well, and then this is our 3rd time over for this, so yeah, we've been away a couple of times, yeah. So
tell us a bit about the Portobello club.
So it's a very small club in Dublin. We're intermediate at the moment. There's no Dublin people from Dublin on our team. It's actually made up of girls that are up from the country living in Dublin, so we have all sorts of counties. We've Clare, Cork, Kerry, Cavan, Kilkenny. We've a good mixture of girls, so it's probably an unusual situation, but it's great because I suppose anyone moving to Dublin, it's great because it's an easy way to meet people and make friends.
Larry, you're chairman of the Father Murphy's Club here. The competition here today, vitally important for the girls here in the run up to the championship and the run up to the league, isn't it?
Very much so, yes. We're very happy to be here. It's a good number of games. It outweighs any training session. We participated in March in Birmingham and we got to the final of that, so it's a good lead in. The league in Camogie now is starting next week, so it's great. Like, you know, a lot of our girls will also play football and that league is starting the week after, so you know, competitions like this are very, very important.
The GAA it's a great link to people here in London. It's a great link for people back home, isn't it?
Oh yes, indeed it is. It's girls coming over here, you know, we can normally help them out with a job and with accommodation and, you know, look after them a little bit, and they meet friends from home, they meet new friends, old friends, a whole lot. It's a really great link.
Tell us about the Father Murphy's Club.
Oh, Father Murphy's Club now was formed by the Howland family from Rathnure out of the men's club, and as I say, sympathies to the Howland family. They buried their grandmother there, who was 99 years old last Wednesday. She was buried in Kensal Green, and you know, they've been an integral part of the club since the 1960s, and that was the men's club. But now, you know, we've been going since 1988 as ladies, and we've had a very, very successful club. I mean, we're the only club in Britain that has won both county senior championships in camogie and football in the same year, and we did it twice in 2007 and 2008.
Tara Club has a successful history here in London. We were formed in the late 80s and have trained here in Greenford for quite a number of years. We're made up of junior and senior players, so we're lucky that we're a dual team club. We've got girls from all over Ireland and the UK. We've had some girls from Australia and America in the past as well, so we're quite a mixed bunch of people. Currently we train here in Greenford on a Monday and Wednesday night. And our coach this year and for last year as well is Alan Smith from Galway, so we're very lucky to have him on board. Tara is a real good kind of group of girls, especially when you move over to London, you don't know people. It's nice to come out, train with the girls and get to, you know, make a few friends as well as get a bit of exercise every week. Sheila Fernandez would be our kind of matriarch of the club. She runs everything and is basically the boss, even though she doesn't have the title, so to speak.
Sinead, a great day here in Greenford. All the girls behind you giving you moral support. You must be delighted to be here.
It's a great day for Green Isle, where we've won 2 games out of 2 in the 7-side competition today, so we're into a final now against Tara, hoping to win that. I think we're the underdogs, but yeah, no, it's going well. Tell us about the club. Well, we're one of the oldest camogie clubs in London, and like the only camogie club in southeast London. It's a great kind of community. I emailed the club before even coming over to London, and they're so welcoming. Great social life, good crack, and a bit of exercise as well. So yeah, great bunch of girls here.
So you immediately have a bunch of friends here straight away?
Yeah, no, it's the best thing to do, to get involved in a club. So. And
you're from County Clare?
I am. Yeah, we're not going so well at home this year, but we'll make up for it here today by winning something, hopefully.
And tell us about what are you doing here in London? What line of work are you doing?
I'm working in King's College Hospital as an occupational therapist. So the hospital also has a load of Irish working in it, but so trying to recruit from there to come join Green Isle as well.
So Dennis, you must be delighted to be here. You're all the way down from Birmingham. Great competition today, isn't it?
Yeah, it's absolutely fabulous. We've been coming down here now for a few years, and the Tara Club do great work for London Camogie. But the girls have had a fantastic day. You know, they've performed better than they have done for many a season. As you can see, they're quite young. You know, so they're probably the youngest team here, and they competed very well with everybody. And they just narrowly lost in the final, and of course, we believe we was robbed. The referee again, you know. The girls organised a women's festival in Birmingham in March, and it was also their 30th anniversary of the Tara Camogie Club. So we're having a fantastic season so far, and we're very optimistic about what lies ahead of us. So we're looking forward to it.
And tell us a little bit more about the club. You have to travel quite a bit for all your games, don't you?
Yeah. We're based in Birmingham, and we have a very strong club in Birmingham. We have adult football teams, 2 adult football teams. We have a soccer team as well. We have a hurling team. We have the Camogie team. We have juvenile hurling and juvenile football. And we have some fantastic workers in the club, you know, people that are working tirelessly on behalf of the club. And we all owe a great deal of debt to the older members of the club, the deceased members of the club, and the present chairman, who's in his 80s, or the president, who's in his 80s. You know, fantastic people who've given a lifetime of service to the Tara Club and Gaelic sports in particular. You know, so we're very proud of who we are and what we do.
You're all the way from County Roscommon. How did you get involved with this competition?
I think we saw it on Facebook or something, and we were at the Kilmacud Sevens last year and we had a good time with that, so we said we'd come over for another good time.
And tell us a bit more about the club.
Well, the Camogie Club is 50 years in existence next year, so we'll have a big celebration next year. And the Dominics Club has football and ladies football and hurling as well, so it's a very busy club. But they're doing a lot of work with the Camogie at the minute, and we're kind of starting to see the rewards now, so everyone's hard work is starting to pay off.
So you guys are from County Roscommon, you're from Knockrockery. What's this camogie scene like in Roscommon?
There isn't a huge amount of clubs. I think there are only 4 senior clubs at the moment, but this year we have more junior clubs playing, so it's positive and it's going forward, but we've still a long way to go.
And give us a look at that plate you won today. What was the competition? Tell us about it.
So it was a 7-a-side competition that was split into junior and senior, so we were in the senior category, and the top 2 teams went to a cup final and the 3rd and 4th teams went to a plate final. So we beat Father Murphy's in the plate final.
You must be delighted.
Yeah. All very happy.
So you'll be looking forward to seeing this now back home in Roscommon?
Yep, tomorrow. We're going back tomorrow morning, so we'll bring it home shortly.
Are you going to come back next year?
Yeah, we'll be back. We'll be more prepared next year.
Well, special thanks there to Sheila Fernandez, organiser of the competition, for inviting us along there, and we really had a great day. If you'd like to contact the show, send an email to ian@irishtv.ie, and you can also find us on Facebook and on Twitter. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have right now, but do come back to us next week when we'll be out and about in the UK.